Hey guys, so prior to this Nemestice event, we already knew about two materials that originated from the Mad Moon, and that was Radiant Ore and Diastone. But this Nemestice event introduced a new material called Nemestice that also originated from the Mad Moon, and I found out that these three materials are full of lore, and as I began to theorize as usual, I found out that these three ancient stones actually hold the key for solving a bunch of unanswered questions in the Dota 2 lore. So I decided to make a bunch of separate videos for each mystery that I solved by using the lore behind these three ancient stones, and I recommend you guys to watch all of these ancient stone lore videos in the correct order because all of these videos are connected, and I'll leave the links for all of these videos in the description box below. But anyways, this is part 2 of those videos. So get ready to get your mind blown by the lore behind these primordial ancient stones. So without further ado, let's begin. In this video I'm going to talk about how these three ancient stones actually hold the key to finally solve how exactly do the fragments of the primordial mind control heroes and creeps in the Dota 2 world. So in the last video we talked about how the three ancient stones represents the three major fragments of the primordial mind and how each of them mind controls creatures in one way or another. However, we didn't discuss how exactly do they do it, and the key for this is actually something that is loosely based on real life science. Don't believe me? Let me explain. So we have the matte dark colored diastone, the glowing light colored radiant ore, and the multicolored Nemestice in the middle, which if you think about it looks a lot like the electromagnetic spectrum, where diastone represents low frequencies like infrared and below because the dia is associated with the color red, and infrared is just beyond the red end of the visible spectrum. Plus infrared waves are known to have a heating effect, and this lines up with the fact that the dia side of the map literally have lava. So maybe this heating effect of the infrared waves is why the dia side of the map have lava in the first place, because the diastone vibrates in the infrared frequency which heats the rocks below it, forming lava. Because when the dia ancient is destroyed, you can see a huge lava basin right below it, which makes sense because the biggest diastone fragment is the dia ancient. So this lava exists because the dia ancient is emitting infrared radiation, and I think radiant ore represents high frequencies like ultraviolet and higher, because the radiant is associated with the color blue and ultraviolet is just beyond the violet end of the visible spectrum, which is a color that is close to blue, and there's actually a purple variant of the radiant ore in this desert terrain map. So yeah, plus ultraviolet waves and the other high frequency waves like X-rays and gamma rays are really high energy waves, and this lines up with the fact that the radiant ore is known to be very unpredictable like stated in this item's lore. So this unpredictable nature might be a result of the radiant ore vibrating in these high frequencies. So this means these materials vibrate at these frequencies, and Nemestice represents the visible section of the electromagnetic spectrum, which explains why it has these rainbow colors and changes from time to time, because that's the frequency that Nemestice vibrates in, and the waves of the opposite ends of this spectrum that the dia and the radiant are associated with cannot be seen by a human eye, but this invisible wave still exists, just like the influence of the ancients. So I think the ancients are using the waves of these different frequencies to mind control heroes in game, because there are experiments that are aiming to use electromagnetic waves to hijack a person's brain and the nervous system to control every action that they do, which is exactly what mind controlling is. So this proves that the ancients are using electromagnetic waves to mind control the heroes in game, while Nemestice is literally glowing in the sky as the Mad Moon, and when it perfectly aligns with the Dota 2 planet, it uses visible light to mind control Roshan during dire tide.
Slivers of the Mad Moon hang forgotten in our sky, slowly aligning. It is time again. The tide rises and brings with it something dire.
So Nemestice uses visible light to do its mind controlling, and this is probably the reason why the Nemestice doesn't have much of a mind controlling power than the Nemestice stones, because as you guys have probably guessed by now, the visible part of the spectrum isn't that great at mind controlling, because otherwise we'll act differently every time we go near a light. However, it's worth noting that visible light kinda alters the behavior of creatures like insects in a smaller scale, which would explain why the Nemestice can mind control creeps but not heroes. So from all of this we can conclude that the Nemestice stones have a much stronger mind controlling power than the Nemestice, while in the last video we learned that the Nemestice have a much stronger mutation power than the Nemestice stones, which makes sense because their respective primordial mind counterparts use these two types of methods to carry out their work, because the radiant ore and the diastone are more psychological than physical, just like how the two ancients use psychological factors such as mind controlling to do their work, while the Nemestice is more physical than psychological because it alters the physical properties and transforms creeps during this Nemestice event, just like how the Arc Warden prefers to take physical action to reunite the primordial mind together again. And that's it for this video guys, but this is just part 2 of many videos where I'm going to talk about the lore behind these three ancient stones, and in the next video I'm going to talk about how these ancient stones actually gives us a clue of how the Mad Moon looked like before it got shattered, and what were the forces that contributed to its ultimate destruction. But anyways, if you guys want to check out the other parts of these ancient stones lore videos, I'll leave the links for those videos in the description box below so you guys can check them out if you like. But I want to know what you guys think about the things that I talked about in this video, so leave them in the comment section down below because I would love to know what you guys think about all this. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always don't forget to like, share and subscribe and turn on notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching watching, and I'll see you in the next video.